Tonya Paulson, the top qualifier for the balance beam final, with an execution score of 8.1. That was the best of any of the qualifiers. There are other gymnasts, I should say, with stronger difficulty who will be contesting this final, the likes of Leni Bohle of Austria and Lin Yi-Chen of Chinese Taipei. So if they can increase the execution, they might have a little difficulty edge over Paulson. One just never knows with the balance beam. It can be a malevolent force. The vault finalists in this World Challenge Cup in Szombathely. The top performer in the preliminary round, Beno Kunst of Slovenia. Potentially a very tight final though, because the second best in qualification, Damdindorj Enkhtuvshin of Mongolia, was only 500ths behind him. We anticipate in the gentlemen's competition that there will be, by and large, 5.2 degree of difficulty vaults, balanced with 4.8 vaults. We think there will be a few gymnasts who will be producing 2 5.2 difficulty vaults. Otherwise it will be a bit of a mixed bag.
Gerendán letette a melegítési idő. The warm-up time on the balance beam is over. The first competitor in the women's balance beam final, Mila Prpic, Horvátország.
Mila Prpic of Croatia will begin the women's balance beam final. 8th best in the preliminary round, a score of 12.2. She is the reigning Balkan junior champion on beam. Won the title in Istanbul last year. Also won the vault competition. Good save, really good save, well done to her. This is the first time that she's made 2 finals in one day in senior international competition. She'll also be in the floor final later. That's another big milestone for her. Little adjustment coming out of the free walkover. By the standards of this competition, she has quite a complicated routine. There are a couple of other gymnasts with greater difficulty. But it's competitive in terms of its complexity. Can she keep the stability here? Could well. Nice twisting work to conclude that balance beam routine. Mila Prpic, a little uncertain early on, but it got stronger as she settled into it. Only 16, the gymnast from the northern Adriatic coast, in the city of Rijeka.
A horvát
Beautiful part of the
versenyzőnő
world, the
első
Adriatic.
éves felnőtt, idén Antalyában már
Switchly mount to open the performance.
Világkupán akkor talajon a 6. helyet szerezte meg.
Had some stability issues there, but this is a really mature save.
Bizonytalansággal a végén. Gugoló forgás, ez pedig már a leugrás.
She's got decent form in the twist position. Keeps the body straight.
És már is az ugrást figyelhetjük. Az
Let's go across to the men's vault final.
Závory Szilárd, Magyarország.
Szilárd Závory of Hungary. 3rd best in qualification, bronze medalist at the Junior World Championships last year in Turkey. Not a bad beginning. He's going to take a penalty 10th for that 1.5 twist in Kasamatsu. Had an execution score of 9.1 in qualification. This we anticipate being the more complicated of his vaults. And in what is likely to be a very tight vault final, small things like that penalty 10th could be quite significant. 12.266 for young Mila Prpic. It's an improvement of hundredths from qualification. Nicely done. 14.2 for the first vault. It's exactly the same execution score as qualifying. He's just 1/10 down because of that penalty. Double twisting Yuchenko, the second vault from Szilárd Závory.
Nagyon szépen sikerült, ez is Yuchenko szuplé, dupla csavar.
That was really well performed, wasn't it? He might actually pick up what he's lost from the first vault there. Will be a little deduction for the hop backwards. Very nice central line. Really well performed that by the 19-year-old. A gymnast who really is respected for the elegance and artistic quality to her work. Charlotte Booth of Great Britain. This is her senior international debut this weekend, and she's already found herself a champion in the uneven bars. Can she contend on the beam? Very stable. No issues at all. That was absolutely aligned. She's not giving a great deal away in terms of adjustments. Well, did that thing that all commentators do there. Back to form though, back to type from this very reliable athlete. Well performed. Difficulty-wise, it will be one of the lower routines we anticipate in this final. But in terms of its crispness, very nice to watch from the Floridian, who has dual citizenship. Very strong water sports competitor as well. Loves to wake surf. Sort of thing that one can do very easily in a place like Florida, I imagine. Perhaps slightly less so in the West Midlands of the UK. Now, what of the second vault from Szilárd Závory? So 14.066, he was up in terms of his execution from qualification, just by a fraction. Overall, it's just a slight drop, and that's that penalty 10th. To Leandre Sauve of Canada, 21 from beautiful Quebec. He reappeared this season at World Cup level for the first time since 2022, though he did compete at the Pan American Championships last year, made the vault final. Could be a real contender. Oh, it's unfortunate, just a little crumpled landing the shoe felt. Yes, this reaction speaks volumes. He does perform that vault ever so well most of the time, and 9.45 for execution in qualification. It was a treat. So it's the double twisting Yuchenko with the extra twist around of the body. originated by Kyle Schufelt. And that further half rotation, affording it 4/10 of difficulty, or 4 extra tenths of difficulty.
És már is a
12.433. Booth has lost 2/10 of difficulty. Her execution has gone up, so she leads for the time being.
És következik a második ugrás. Second vault from
14.066, so that's a drop of about half a mark for the young Canadian, Leandre Sauve. But he could pick that up here with this second vault. And unfortunately, more compression as he lands that one. That was the Kasamatsu 1.5. The Driggs vault. Just a slightly low landing. He does well to keep it as upright as he possibly can. A lot of athletes would have properly gone to ground there and put the left hand down. He didn't. He's a strong gentleman.
És a következő versenyző a gerendán, on the balance
to Tonya Paulson of Sweden,
Paulson, Svédország.
the 21-year-old. She got onto the podium in the uneven bars final, where she was the top qualifier. She's the top qualifier here too, reliant on extremely good execution. This was so strong in qualifying. Can she maintain it? She's a gymnast with a real sense of finesse to her work when it is all coming together well. A nice side aerial. Much like on the uneven bars, a very simple dismount at the conclusion of the routine from Tonya Paulson. But much like the uneven bars, the interior was performed with real clarity. First time we've seen her at World Cup level since February of 2023. And she won her first ever World Cup honours yesterday.
14. helyet szerezte meg. Itt egy oldalszaltót láthatunk tőle szép tisztán. Ez egy váltott futó, félfordulattal, és még ott egy hátraszaltót is kapcsolt hozzá. A leugrás pedig
egy single layout to conclude.
Leandre Sauve pont
13.833 for Sauve. Despite the 0.3 penalty, he's in second place.
Next on the vault.
That was his aggregate score, just to be clear.
Schweiz.
To Jan Imhof of Switzerland. 8th best in qualifying, but with the difficulty to go right up near the top of the leaderboard. Got to watch out for this young vaulter. He's really good. Came second at the National Championships. Oh, the rocher looked as though he had a sat-down landing. He was very close. Certainly, it was a low landing. He did incredibly well to spring up fast. 20-year-old. Let's have a look from this angle. Oh, it's difficult to be completely certain of. Does he touch? Does he graze? Does he just get away with it? The judges will make their determination.
Tonya Paulson pontszáma
12.966. The difficulty is down. The execution is up. Paulson has gone into the lead. She's very close to her score from qualifying. Imhof 13.7.
Imhof második
So he is
ugrása
2/10 up from qualification. Looks as though there was a contact made with the mat. Now, what of the second? We expect a 1.5 twisting Kasamatsu vault. And that is what we get with a sideways lunge. It's going to be interesting because we've got gymnasts coming up later whose execution will be stronger, their difficulty will be lower. We could have one of those good old-fashioned D versus E vault finals. Can be so interesting to watch. Leni Bohle from Austria. Second best in qualifying with a score of 13, same as Tonya Paulson, but with higher difficulty, lower execution, hence the tie break being applied. She's the reigning champion of Austria. And the title in her home city, lovely Dornbirn, back in April. A little bit of oscillation on the horizontal axis. Very secure looking display, this medal contending performance from Leni Bohle. Really powerful and yet elegantly performed side aerial. That was a great bit of gymnastics from Leni Bohle. She's never won an international medal on balance beam. She was 6th in this final last year. Might well be she's heading for the podium with that performance. It's a little off axis, wasn't she, on the mount, but did well to stabilise that. Can be just a tiny deviation on the mount that can send a gymnast hurtling off before they've even started. That's where there'll be just a little loss from the execution score for that stability issue. And the twisting position in flight lacks a little clarity. There's some leg separation, for example, but by and large, really good. Imhof's in third place, 13.816 the average. So high difficulty in the context of this final, but at the moment it's the gentleman with the lowest difficulty of the three of them who's leading. What about Daniel Trifonov of Bulgaria? He was the 5th best in qualifying. Reigning junior national champion. He's only 19 and competed at the Junior World Championships where he made the vault final. That's tidy. Had 9.15 execution score for that vaulting qualification. We expect Trifonov difficulty-wise to be a fair amount lower than the likes of Sauve and Imhof, and a little down from Vory. Bohle,
Leni Bohle
second place, 12.866. She goes ahead of Charlotte Booth, slots in 1/10 behind Paulson. The first vault from Trifonov was the accopian. Full twisting Kasamatsu. There we go, 14.1. So he's up from qualification. Good execution, despite that being 4/10 down on the difficulty of the last 4 vaults that we've seen in this final. Double twisting Yuchenko to come. Very good. Very good from young Daniel Trifonov. Now, he's been finding his first vault hard to get right in international competition. And it's been at a 5.2 degree of difficulty. And it looks as though he's made the call here just to downgrade the first vault to a 4.8. And in doing so, focus on the execution. It could well be that turns out to be exactly the right move.
And now the second for gymnast may start the warm-up.
So let's see where he's positioned. He's gone into the lead, 14.15, 9.3 and 9.4 execution scores. So for all of you purists out there who love the elegance and poise of gymnastics more than the difficulty, you've got what you wished for, because it is the lowest scoring gymnast difficulty-wise who is leading the way. And well done to Trifonov and well done to his coach for making that call to take away 4/10 of difficulty that he was struggling to get right. Just to go back to, I say basics in the loosest sense of the word, because, you know, a Kasamatsu full and a double twisting Yuchenko are not basic vaults, but they were performed with real security. Now, the warm-ups in progress for the second half of the beam and vault finals. Always a threat. Croatia's Tina Zelcic, winner of 4 World Cup medals. And they've all come pretty recently. If there is a gymnast who's going to challenge in the same way that Trifonov has just challenged on vault, on the principles of excellent execution, it will be Tina Zelcic, because she is known for having low difficulty and very elegant gymnastics, very correct form. And we'll finish the theme final with Lilla Makai of Budapest, but based in Dunajváros, an industrial city about 70 kilometers to the south on the Danube. And this event taking place in Szombathely, the oldest city in Hungary, in the west, very close to the border with Austria. Famous market settlement going back hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, frankly. Szombathely, as I always enjoy mentioning, is actually literally Saturday place, because obviously is when the market happened. On we go with the women's beam final. This is Lin Yi-Chen of Chinese Taipei. She's 19, made her World Championship debut last year. Congratulations to her on a brilliant 2023. In the space of 4 months, she did the Asian Championships, the World University Games, the Asian Games and the World Championships, all for the first time. I mean, what a high-octane part of the season she had. And she did come away not empty-handed as well. Won a bronze medal with her team at the Asian Championships. Unfortunately, just a little offline and a full mark to be deducted. This is her first World Cup competition. Just leaning backwards a little as she came out of that free walkover. She has won a beam title in a smaller international competition, an event called the Singapore Open. Nice competition in a very beautiful part of the world. So despite that issue early on in the routine, Lin Yi-Chen gets through it well. Now, she was the third best in qualification with a score of 12.65. Regrettably, she's unlikely to contend in the final itself. Lots to enjoy about it, though. Just a few stability adjustments throughout, even without the issue where she unintentionally dismounted the beam. There still would be quite a few execution deductions to factor in. But it's a routine with some complex elements to it. Nicely performed side somi. Uses the form a little as she twists, but keeps the landing stable despite the slight pike position of the body. Assan Salimov of Kazakhstan. We anticipate two 5.2 difficulty vaults here. He could contend. What it's really going to come down to with Salimov is whether he can keep his penalties under control. He had 4/10 of penalty marks across the two vaults in qualification. Starts with a roche. Yes, that was good.
Ő is a Roche nevű ugrást választotta első ugrásának, gyönyörű kivitelezéssel, szép magas
Looked as though he just about managed to stay in bounds. Good height. Really well done that. Oh, it is close there. Maybe he does transgress the line.
De idén eszékről van már.
They're perfectly positioned, the judges, to know that.
Ugráson, aranytalajon bronzérmet szerzett. Lin Yi-Chen pontszáma
11.366 for Lin Yi-Chen, 6.066 for execution. So that's about a mark and a quarter down from qualification.
Már is vissza ugráshoz, ondi volt. Assan Salimov, Kazakhstan.
No penalty, he was all right, 14.4. So that's the first job accomplished. He's 2/10 up from the preliminary round. He's put himself in a position to lead this final, but this second vault was the weaker one in the preliminary round. Now, there will be some deductions for that landing, but it was really well performed, and we've got a gymnast absolutely in contention for a place on the podium with that display. The roche followed by the 1.5 twisting Kasamatsu. He does really well, actually. When you see it from that angle, he almost skids as he lands. A little backwards lean. I tell you what, that's a great recovery.
A következő versenyző
Tina Zelcic.
On the beam, Tina Zelcic, Horvátország.
22, and very recently, 5 days ago. Absolute specialist on the apparatus. Already a winner of 2 medals this season. Very poised, precise work. How well she dealt with that adjustment. There was just a little flicker of body movement and she went, nope, enough, and made it almost look artistic. So close as well. The penultimate skill, what a shame that is. Tina Zelcic with what might have been a contending performance from an execution standpoint. She's been a finalist at European Championship level with the Croatian team in 2020.
A felugrása, váltófutó, felugrás, utána egy oldalspárga. Itt láthatjuk a flick soufflé, kötelező akrobatikus kötés.
Part of her routine with minimal issues.
Gyakorlatban.
And the dismount was fine also.
A pedig egy előre szaltó egész csavarral.
He leads and leads quite comfortably, actually. 14.3 for Assan Salimov, 14.2 for the second vault. So he got rid of all of those penalties. Now to the gymnast who was the second best in qualification. Sixth time we've seen him in World Cup final action. Damdindorj Enkhtuvshin of Mongolia. Beautiful execution in qualifying. And good execution there as well. Now what is interesting is that there was an indication given before the final that he would attempt a 1.5 twisting Kasamatsu vault, which obviously has not been his ultimate decision. .7 for Tina Zelcic. When you think that she's picked up a 7 execution despite coming off the apparatus, that was on course to score well. 14 for his first vault, so he is down a little, a 10.5 from qualifying. He needs this one to be a big scoring vault then. Needs in excess of 14.066 to get onto the podium. It's good. Double twisting Yurchenko from Damdindorj Enkhtuvshin. No Mongolian gymnast has ever won a medal in a senior worldwide artistic gymnastics competition. Ganbatyan Erdenebold won the Youth Olympic title on vault in 2010, but otherwise all of Mongolia's success at full international worldwide level has come in aerobic gymnastics. And this gentleman has been knocking at the door for the entire season. He's finished 4th a couple of times. Abby Roper of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. 19-year-old who scored 12.45 in qualification. And she was close to sustaining that. Just to remind you that it's Tonya Paulson at the top of the leaderboard. And likely to stay there for the time being at least. Just not quite having the sort of day that she can have on the apparatus. She made the beam final at the British Championships, which is a very tough accomplishment. Didn't she get lovely amplitude there? Twice a Northern European team champion, Abigail Roper. So many really strong elements in that display.
Abigail Ropert
Regrettably, it will be
a brit
a low score because
versenyzőnő tegnap ugráson
coming off the
negyedik
apparatus
helyen
twice.
végzett a döntőbe.
But some very controlled and precise looking gymnastics around that.
A felugrása egy fölszaltó zsugor
Difficult
helyzetben.
tuck mount.
Előre szaltót mutatott be a gerendán, sajnos nem volt teljesen egyenes, ez pedig itt a guggoló forgás. Forwärts, előre. És egy rundel szóflé, másfél csavar a leugrás.
Now, where is Damdindorj Enkhtuvshin? And he is into the bronze medal position with 2 to go. 14.083.
Bronzérmes a rangsorban.
But the top qualifier is next.
A következő versenyző pedig Beno Kunst, Szlovénia.
Beno Kunst from Slovenia. First time that we've seen him in an international final. He was the first reserve in Osijek at the World Challenge Cup. Oh, and unfortunately, he sits down the roche. What a shame, because it's been something of a problem for him. Just getting that first vault secured. It's really nice in flight as well. The Osijek World Challenge Cup went out of bounds with both feet on his first vault. The second was just delightful. Abigail Roper, 10.866. Got all of the components of a really nice routine though. 13.033. Now that unfortunately is a drop of almost a mark and a half from qualification. And that was a securely performed second vault. I believe the Law Yun vault. But the top qualifier, unfortunately, not likely to be in contention with 1 to go. Nice apex of the vault, looked good. We have one last performer in the balance beam competition. It's Hungary's own Lilla Makai, 7th best in qualification. Evidently carrying a little issue on the lower right leg. But performing that ever so well. Teammate Greta Moyer watching. Oh, good save. Very good save. Secure side somersault. A very sound conclusion to the balance beam final, courtesy of Lilla Makai. Most of her success at national level has come on the uneven bars or on the floor. She was also a silver medalist on the uneven bars at the World Schools Championships a couple of years ago. She mounted the apparatus with poise and largely kept that poise throughout.
Kettő flick és még egy szuplét is hozzákapcsolt. Hármas akrobatikus kötést mutatott be. Ez itt a dupla forgás.
The score required to get on the podium is 12.433 plus. She scored 12.3 in qualification.
Rundel szuplé, egész csavar. Beno
13.8 for the second vault, nicely performed. 13.416, seventh place. So that means that the gentleman from Mongolia is one performance away from making history, but he has got a very good vaulter to watch now in Deng-Peng from Chinese Taipei. The 23-year-old makes his senior international debut here in Szombathely, sixth best in qualifying, but he has got strong scoring potential. It will be fascinating to see what we get from the second vault for him, and I'll explain why in a moment. We look back at the 1.5 twisting Kasamatsu vault.
Egy apró elszökkenés az ugrás végén.
Performed that nicely.
Most pedig Lilla pontszámát láthatjuk.
Fifth place for Lilla Makai, 12.066. Execution down a few tenths from qualification. 14.066 for vault number 1.
Most pedig a második ugrás következik. Chou, Deng-Peng,
4.8 difficulty score in qualification for vault number 2 from Chou, but an indication from what he submitted to the judges beforehand that he's going to attempt the shoe felt for a 5.2 difficulty. That could make the difference between him and Damdindorj as to who gets on the podium. We'll find out now. Oh, goodness. Well, he did do the shoe felt, and it was a very uncomfortable landing. Oh, dear.
Szeretnénk orvosi segítséget az ugráshoz.
Well, I hope that he's okay, because that really was not a nice landing at all. So he goes for the extra 4 tenths to get the body around, and it's a very jarred landing. It's bordering on a completely lock leg landing, that. And that's the dilemma. You put in that extra difficulty, it can be a real risk. Now they just need to take time to get him off the field of play here. There's no need to have him limping off with arms around his coaches if there's proper medical assistance waiting in the wings. And well done to whoever just put the brakes on that and said, just leave him for a moment, please. I'm not going to read his score, it's not important, it's his safety that matters. And just time needs to be taken now to be sure that he's okay. Really well done to the medical staff, that gentleman on the right there who just came straight in and said, do not move him. We want more of that in gymnastics. There's no need for an athlete to try to walk off the field of play, albeit supported, when there's medical staff there waiting to support them.
The women's balance beam and men's vault final to please line up for the awarding ceremony next
The
to
classified
the stage.
results in the balance beam final: bronze to Charlotte Booth of Great Britain, silver to Leni Bohle, of Austria, and the gold medal won by Tonya Paulson of Sweden, her first ever World Cup title. Huge congratulations to her. The classified results in the men's vault competition, and a moment of international gymnastics history as Damdindorj of Mongolia becomes the first gymnast from his nation to ever win a senior worldwide artistic gymnastics medal. It is a brilliant accomplishment. The silver goes to Daniel Trifonov of Bulgaria, and the gold is won by Assan Salimov of Kazakhstan. The victory ceremony for the women's balance beam competition at the Szombathely World Challenge Cup.
Medals will be presented by Mr. Attila Horváth, representing the city of Szombathely, Ms. Donatella Saki, FIGTC President, and Dr. Zoltán Magyar, two-times Olympic champion, President of the Hungarian Gymnastics Federation.
Fantastic. Zoltán Magyar, there's a name. Two-time Olympic champion in the presentation party.
Charlotte Booth, Nagy-Britannia.
Well done to Charlotte Booth. What an excellent weekend. A second medal. Four finals still to come as well. Bronze on the
Leni Bohle, Austria.
Leni Bohle, another gymnast, having a really fine competition in Szombathely.
Gold medalist
Silver
Tonya
for Leni Bohle of
Paulson,
Austria.
Svédország.
And the gold medal goes to Tonya Paulson of Sweden. For the first time ever, she is a World Cup champion and looks thrilled about it. Great execution.
Kérem, hogy állva hallgassuk meg a svéd
And we'll now have the
nemzeti
national
himnuszt.
anthem of
Please stand up
Sweden.
for the national anthem of Sweden.
Du gamla, du fria. Thou olden, thou free. The national anthem of Sweden, written by Richard Dybeck and Edvin Kalstenius. Played in honour of Tonya Paulson and her fellow medalists joining her on the podium in the balance beam competition at the Szombathely World Challenge Cup. We'll carry on with the scenes of celebration in Szombathely. The men's vault competition now has reached the awarding stage.
urat, a FIG technikai bizottságának tagját, Hazafi László urat, a Volvo Alpok Autók Kft. Ügyvezető igazgatóját, és Berki Krisztián urat, olimpiai bajnokunkat, a Magyar Tornaszövetség sportigazgatóját, a MOB elnökségének tagját.
Marrying
Medals
of
will be
pocket square and
presented by
tie
Mr. Bacstünig from the FIGTC, Mr. László Hazafi, Managing Director of Volvo Alpok Limited, and Mr. Christian Berki, Olympic Champion Sports Director of the Hungarian Gymnastics Federation. Ugrás döntőiben harmadik helyen végzett. On the third place, Enkhtuvshin Damdindorj, Mongolia.
Damdindorj of Mongolia, the first gymnast ever from his nation to stand on a podium as a senior at full international worldwide level in the sport of artistic gymnastics.
És a döntő győztese
Daniel Trifonov of Bulgaria, the silver medalist.
Salimov, Kazakhstan.
And for the second time this season, Assan Salimov of Kazakhstan is a World Challenge Cup champion. And we'll have the national anthem now of Kazakhstan.
Álljunk föl és hallgassuk meg a kazakh himnuszt. Please stand up for the national anthem of Kazakhstan.
For the second time this weekend, we have the national anthem of Kazakhstan played in the Arena Savaria. And there they are, the medalists in the men's vault competition at the World Challenge Cup in Szombathely.
Gratulálunk, uraim! Congratulations, gentlemen! Megkérem a férfi korlát és a női talajdöntő résztvevőit, hogy sorakozzanak fel a színpad mellett a bevonuláshoz.